Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. That was a great introduction. I was preparing to share my story as well. So today I thought that it would be helpful for me to um, categorize into three parts: introduction about my readers and myself, the impact that we're doing, and also the impact from COVID. I think that later on, I'm more than happy to share like stories about challenges of COVID and how our organization cope with it, and also involvement. How can the students and faculty of Albuquerque International University can get involved, or even get the public to be more involved in advocating for literacy. So I parked the Q&A at the end, but if there's any question, feel free to just stop me. Um, yep. So shall I start?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a picture of my students back when I was a teacher. I grew up in a family of teachers. Both my parents were English teachers, so I knew that I wanted to be a teacher when I was 5 years old. But I didn't get to study education. I studied biology, which was something that I really enjoyed. And after working in a lab for 2.5 years, I decided that I wanted to pursue teaching. So I joined the Teach for Malaysia Fellowship, which places non-education degree holders like me in government schools. And these are schools where they have high need students, very um, low rates of literacy, a lot of discipline problems, and not enough teachers. So it was a very challenging fellowship, but I really grew from there. And because of that experience, it drove me and my co-founders to start my readers. Maybe just some side story to give you a bit more context. I was teaching English to Form 1 and Form 2 students. um, these were my students from 6 years ago, so they have all graduated. What I realized that a lot of my students, they could not understand basic English sentences. They couldn't really read; they were just guessing. I would ask, "How are you?" or and then automatically they already have the answer, "I'm fine." And then if you change the question to any other question, the answer is always "I'm fine." So this is because a lot of them never learned the basic foundation of reading, both in English and in Bahasa, when they were younger. Due to social economic background, a lot of the parents are not staying with them. They are working somewhere, separated families. A lot of them stay with their grandparents, and there are many other causes that lead to a low literacy rate. So every Saturday, I ran English extra classes with my students, but I pair them with volunteers and also my student mentors, because there's so many of them. So like what you read, from a few hundreds, right now, after 5, 6 years of my readers, we have impacted, I think, more than 30,000 students across Malaysia through our many teachers and community programs. So just to give a background, um, this is the PISA test. This is an international assessment that tests 15-year-olds around the world on literacy on their mother tongue once every 3 years. And if you look at where Malaysia is, we are ranked 58 out of 79 countries. And about half of our 15-year-olds are not reading at their level. And if you look at our past result, like from 2009 until 2018, there was actually not much difference. We actually took a dip as well. So this is alarming because not only are they not reading at their level in their own mother tongue, if we look at the English scores, it will be even lower. And we know that illiteracy actually affect our students in so many other ways. So this is based on the research from UNESCO and World Literacy Foundation. and they said that children who are illiterate, they are more likely to have higher risk of disease, more likely to drop out, have engaged in high risk sexual behaviors, have a tougher time to find jobs. They don't have a lot of awareness of their rights. And I think what we are most concerned of is they are looped in that cycle where the parents who drop out have kids who drop out as well. And this is a very expensive social issue. And I think that your university, because you also focuses on channeling back to social issues, I think this is very aligned. I think very happy to see a university with that um, promotes. I think working to solve social issues. So what we did was, besides looking at international tests, we also did our own tests, and we took a sample size of 600 students from 10 schools. We took it from Kapar and Klang because we were working with these schools. And what we did was 20 of the students from each school are from the higher achieving group, 20 are from the mid achieving group, and 20 from the low achieving group. And then we test them on a standardized reading diagnostic test. And we found that 95% of the students tested were reading behind their expected proficiency level. This is a combination of both primary schools and secondary schools. So, for example, if a secondary school Form 1 student, they're supposed to be reading at a Form 1 level, when we tested them, they are reading below. So it could be at a Year 1, Year 2 level. So before I go on, is there any question?
Maybe not for now.
Okay, let me continue. So what we believe is that everybody, every child, regardless of their social economic background, should have equal opportunities to develop agency, and that literacy is key. So we started My Readers back in 2015 with my three other co-founders who are also teaching English in government school. And we realized that we really need to provide literacy intervention because it is just impossible to teach the students according to the syllabus if they can't even read. And this is a picture of our biggest team before COVID. So we have had the privilege of working with many, many interns and also our part-time program managers. What we do is we provide structured and sustainable reading modules. So why do we say structured? It's page by page. Anybody can pick it up and then they just follow the order. It's sustainable because once they use the books and everything, they can then in turn teach another child, or like a parent can use it for another um, one of the siblings as well. And when we run it in schools, the schools use the same set of books for different batches of students. And it's designed for the kids to read on a one-to-one basis. So all our sessions are paired one teacher to one student because these kids are already reading behind, so they need that extra attention to have an individualized intervention based on the modules that we wrote. So this is what we do. We wrote our own books simply because we found that a lot of the existing materials are from overseas and the context is very Western. So sometimes they talk about snow and scones, and our students are not able to make that connection. So what we did is we followed the global standard of phonics, and then we pair it with our training, and then design a program to help our students. When they read the books, they are able to draw connections to what they are reading with what they are seeing outside in their lives. So that's the introduction to My Readers. The next segment is the impact that we have. And so far, We have impacted more than 31,000 students. We recently ventured into empowering our parents to read with the kids at home. And then we have always been working with teachers and volunteers. And this is just a snapshot of the things that we were able to do last year. Even though it was a tough year for us, we couldn't go to any of the schools, but we were able to pivot online, which I will share about later on as well. So I usually pause for any questions. It's a teacher habit, so feel free to interrupt me.
Which area of the country that you are involved, other than you see around the Klang area or so on?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So we are also working with schools in Sabah, particularly in Semporna. So we were able to go to the district and run a whole district training for all the schools and all the teachers. And then we allow the teachers to choose whether they want to take our programs or not. Some of our programs are also in Johor. There's one community one in Sarawak. We recently started a new one in Pahang. And we used to have a lot of programs in Kedah because my co-founders were teaching there. But since we already left, we lost touch a bit with the teachers also. So what we hope for is to be able to reach out to even more communities and schools in other states that we are not in as well.
I hope you can reconsider coming back to Kedah
Definitely, yeah.
with our involvement. I hope.
Definitely, yeah. I was in the ISELT Langkawi conference last year actually. So the Kedah teachers are quite keen. Yeah. There was another question, I think.
Good morning, Miss Sue. Okay,
Morning.
okay. My name is Muna. Okay, does my readers have any collaboration with National Library of Malaysia in this literacy campaign or information campaign?
That's a great question, Muna. Thank you. We unfortunately I don't have connections. But if you do, please connect us because we do have a lot of free resources on our YouTube.
Okay, but you also can use their materials as your, your reference or what's not. I think.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Inshallah, we'll do.
Thank you. Any other question? If not, let me continue. So the next part is actually just a main overview of what we do. This is definitely before COVID. We do school programs. So that picture was in Sabah, in Semporna with the head of JPN at that time. And then we run community programs. So our biggest program is Park in Kerinci in Lembah Pantai. But we also work with other community programs. Whoever who is interested to run the program, we will onboard them and make sure that they are trained. And it's a very sustainable model because we are only the resource and training provider and they run it on their own. We also train teachers, usually on English strategies, reading strategies, and we also develop modules. So we develop our own books, which we call our literacy toolkits. But we've also worked with other organizations to develop specific modules for different reading areas. So I'll just share some pictures. So before the MCO, this was our Kerinci program. It was started in a PPR, and the first picture was a picture of our parents meeting at the end of the year when we gave out the results and we did a parents round table to get their feedback. So this year is our third year running the program in PPR Kerinci, but now it's online. We run a lot of training for our volunteer. So it's always free for volunteers to join. And right now they commit to a minimum of 6 months to read with the students so that we always have the same volunteer reading with our students. This is a community in a longhouse in Sarawak. So what happened was this society approached us and they want to bring our books to one of the longhouses in Sarawak. Of course, because of COVID, it's not happening right now, but they were running it for 2 years already. But they also complement it with other activities. So it's like an alternate week, it's reading, and then after that, it's craft. This is the school program in Semporna. So the first picture was the first training that we did with the teachers. This is in collaboration with Teach for Malaysia because the Teach for Malaysia teachers were placed there and also from the Semporna district office. So below on the left corner was one of the teacher training the Form 6 mentors to read with the Form 4 students. And this is our latest project. We just started it last year. Focusing on bilingual early literacy intervention for the Orang Asli. So this is in Janda Baik, and we hope to. So right now we can't go there, but what we did was we identified a local person who is able to teach them. So we are training local community leaders to work with the students there. So I know the topic today is about empowering through literacy. And we realized that we are not only empowering our volunteers, our teachers, our parents, and our student mentors when they read with another child, but we also see when the mentees, the student receiving the intervention, how they are empowered to own their own learning. Because our module is structured, they know what to expect. And after they finish the program, you can see that confidence. They are more interested to read, more interested to learn. Their self-confidence increase. And similarly for our student mentors, we have mentors as young as 9 years old. And when they read with their peers, you can see that sometimes they are frustrated, but it trains their patience and their confidence level, their speaking skills also improve. So we truly believe that this program is just a tool that enable us to empower everybody in the ecosystem to equip the students with literacy skills, reading skills, so that they are able to access the opportunities that's out there. Before I go into the COVID slide, any questions, comments?
You mentioned about the people that involved are all teachers. Is it right?
So let me share the slide again. They are not all teachers. So the school program, they are teachers. We also involve the PPD officers and also the principal. And this year we want to rope in the PIBG because we realize that the parent element is so important. But in our community program, it will be our volunteers or our other NGO partners. And also university students. We have had a lot of university students who volunteer with us. We also have had younger students from primary and secondary school who come and volunteer with us. Sometimes they come with their parent as well.
Very good. Thanks.
So because of COVID, we know that a lot of students are left out of school due to gadget and also the internet issue. And this was a very big concern for us. It will widen the literacy gap even more because even if some of the students are able to follow along with the lessons that's online, because their reading proficiency is so low that they wouldn't be able to understand already. So when it was face to face, it was very already a big gap. But now that is just no contact at all with the teacher, with their peers. This will definitely widen that literacy gap. And we are very concerned about the negative social impact that it will have on these kids. One of the story from one of our community partners in Sentul was the director met this girl who stopped going to school. She didn't have a phone, no internet, so she just stopped schooling. And I'm sure you guys also know a lot of students drop out and had to earn a living for their family as well. So because of this, what we decided to do was we pivoted online. So when schools were closed on the 18th of March, we had a brainstorming session with our volunteers in 2 days. And then we piloted our WhatsApp class the next week. And we have been using this format since then because WhatsApp uses a very low amount of internet data. And most of the kids' parents already use WhatsApp. Out of 40 of our students, only 2 of them were not able to join because they were in their kampong with their grandparents. There was no internet. Yeah. So we were also featured in the Star last year. This is a very nice picture of our volunteers. So we used to read in a mall actually. This mall offered their open space for us to use, and it was great when volunteers can see the students face to face. But right now, everybody is learning on WhatsApp, and it's going quite well. And this is how it will look like. So we have our volunteer, and what we do is we digitalize our content. So everything is on a Google Drive, and we recorded videos so that the students can still see a person, like a teacher, saying the words and watching how the words are formed. And then the volunteer will then ask questions, get them to repeat using the voice recording function on WhatsApp. So all our students were given a set of books so that they can also revise at home. And the parents are required to sit next to their child because we know that parents play the largest role in a child's success in reading. And this pivot to WhatsApp really proved the point that we really need to involve parents when it comes to their child's reading. So that is about the impact. Let me stop for questions again.
Good morning, Misty.
Morning.
Okay, I am Kalsum from School of Education. I've been listening attentively to your content. And the first thing that I want to say, congratulations. It was a very novel effort of you and your team, all right, to empower young children through literacy activities. That is, I don't know, I'm about to in tears about listening to your effort. Okay, now I also trace that you prepared some modules. Okay, the modules are prepared. Is it in the one that you printed, or is just mere online where students can where children can access via technology? That is the first question. And then do you lend, I use the word lend, to any other entities for us, or probably we can collaborate to work together, right? Using, because you have some successful stories. So probably these modules can be adopted, all right, for community service, okay? Let's say AIU now is in North Malaysia, all right? We have our 2 sites or 2 districts that are very close to AIU, that is Sik and Paling. But yet we need to, we have got to work a little bit harder to get the data. Who are the students, or who are the kids that can enroll, right? Can that be, my next question is that, can it be a collaborative effort whereby your modules will be utilized in our coming, let's say, community activities, empowering them through literacy? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Council. Thank you for the encouragement. For your first question, yes, we have both. We have our printed modules in form of our books, and we also have it digital. But when the kids are reading, we encourage that the kids have a copy of the printed books so that they are not just waiting for that once a week meeting with the teacher, but at home with their parents, they can also revise.
All right.
Yeah, we also have audiobooks on our YouTube channel. So when I read with my student, I will send her a few links in advance. So this is like prepping for your class. I ask her to listen to it first because it's just audio, and then she can go along with the book. And then when I meet her, then I realize that it really helps because they have listened to model reading already. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So this is, I guess, what we are trying to do. So we have it in print, in video, which is on our Google Drive, and also in audio, which is on our YouTube.
Yeah, but I think that during this COVID, there are more challenging issues that comes into the way. For instance, like access, gadgets, and then an adult person to be with them initially, and later on, probably when they got the skills, they can do it on their own. Probably these are the issues, and circulating about online learning. But we do hope that everyone, every entity, every government bodies, NGOs are doing very hard, all right, to at least provide the what shall we say is the access, the gadget, and probably we can provide the skills, but the access gadgets is like something very fundamental now for an online delivery. Thank you so much, Tay. I wish you all the best. I do hope I can be one of your members.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I think if I go back to your second question, yes, we are looking for community partners. We have also worked with different schools, but I think this would be our first collaboration with International University. We have a group of students from Sunway University, so it's their Sunway Student Ambassador Group who started their own community project in I think it's called a Rumah Juara for kids. So I think it's a shelter home. So definitely, we actually started the first batch in Pendang, Kedah.
Pendang,
Yeah. So
because they are in AIU, we have two education programs, early childhood and elementary education. Actually, this issue, the school had discussed with our respected dean, all right, to create some community activities, CSR. But I think this is just in it comes very well now with your sharing, and probably we can discuss later for something like replicating what you're doing at Pendang, or probably we can execute somewhere in Baling and Kedah. Baling and Sik, yes.
yes,
Thank you so much.
definitely.
Probably we'll have we hope to get in touch again later on.
Sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Susan.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from anybody else in the audience? The next section that I will talk about is involvement, like how you can get involved, or like what Prof. Kausam was saying, like Kautom was saying, like to replicate it in different communities. No worries. If not, I will continue with this next part. So how can you get involved? So there are many ways to get involved with what we do. Here's a picture of our student mentors. And now they were in Form 4 and now they are already they're finishing up their SPM and gearing to get into university. So it's definitely, I think, a win-win situation for anybody who volunteers with us to build their leadership skill, program management skills, and also to give back to society. So the picture on the right is our very young mentor. They're 9 years old. They're so eager to teach their peers. So this is our goals for this year, to build very strategic partnerships. So I think with Abu Khari International University, this will be a good potential partnership. Feel free to share the word as well. We hope to create even more accessible literacy resources. Everything on our YouTube is free. Some are crowdsourced and some we create on our own. We want to enable community ownership. So after we share our resources, they are able to take this program and run it on their own. And what we envision is that multiplier effect, to go into all communities. And I think that's the most sustainable way to run any intervention program. And the last one is to advocate for action on literacy. So I will briefly share on each of these points. So do follow us. Here are all our links. We are quite active on Facebook and Instagram. If you're on LinkedIn, you can also find us. But the most resources that we have is definitely on our YouTube channel, which is the last link there. You can just Google and find us. The next one would be share our posts and resources. So recently it was World Read Aloud Day. So what we did last year was we ran 2 campaigns. So it's called Read at Home campaign, where anybody can record themselves reading a book, and it is shared to parents and teachers who have kids at home, and they can just listen to a good reading model, which they may not have at home. And the second part, we collaborated with another university group with tailors actually, and it was a female empowerment team. So it was called Read at Home, the Untitled Chapter, and we managed to get some influential leaders like Dato Nicole. So what happened is they read their personal favorite book on female empowerment team, and then it gets shared. So we do welcome all these different kind of collaborations, and also just for people to send in any read aloud or any ideas that you have. Just let us know. Any ideas to make reading very fun, and also to share about the seriousness of the situation. So definitely, if you're interested to volunteer with us, do follow our social media. We have just done our first volunteer training for the year. We are not recruiting yet because our community programs is still in the beginning. We still need to recruit more students, but we are definitely looking for more volunteers, and we will post it out on our social media. So when you sign up to volunteer with us, you will have to go through a 2.5 hours free training on the techniques and skills to use our books, and also to teach with a child through WhatsApp. We are looking for interns, so if any of the students are looking for an internship, we are going to post our what's it called recruitment post next week on our social media, so you can watch out for that. Or you can also send your resume directly to this email here, team@maridas.org.my. So you can sponsor or fundraise for us. So maybe I can share a bit of story. So our first batch of books was sponsored by Fuji Xerox, and they sponsored us 2 rounds. So what we did with these sponsored books is we gave them out for free to communities who wouldn't be able to afford it. So a lot of the time when communities approach us and they can't afford the books, we will also do fundraisers and sponsorships. So individuals or corporates will sponsor programs or sponsor books. This picture on the right is actually our latest community in Sabah, and they started 2 community during COVID. And he wrote in to us if he can buy a few books. And when I realized that the community that they're serving is such a needy community, right? So we decided that we will give them our sponsored books. So we always welcome any form of sponsorship. We also work with Alice Smith International School, Parent Teacher Association 2 years ago. So our 3rd batch of free books were sponsored by them. You can also advocate. So share our posts or your personal stories about reading. And what we really want to do that's new this year is to get people to tag the local MPs, your politician, or influential leaders to kind of make it a bit more known, especially because COVID limits the amount of intervention that we can do. So the pictures are just some of our stats posts that we do. In the middle is actually my ex-intern turned literacy champion. She came to us after her Form 6, and then she interned with us for a year, and it really changed her life, and she is very inspired to be an educator now and on the way to applying to university. So we really do emphasize on a lot of professional development for even our interns and our staff. You can also read a book and tag us. So these are some of the people or influential leaders. So Tengku Satasha, the Princess of Selangor, so she's a avid book reader, right? So we managed to get her to read a book for us. So all these kind of different programs and campaigns that we plan to do. Let us know if you have any grand idea. And definitely to start your own program. So anybody can start your own program. Just let us know. What we do have is, if you want to start a community program, we do have a list of criterias. So one of the main criteria will be to have a local champion. Like, is there somebody who is in that community, so that even when we are gone or our partners are gone, the program can still run. And that is all I have prepared. This is my email address. Feel free to write into me if there's any great ideas or partnerships. And this is our vision, that one day every child will be able to read. So I will stop here for any other Q&A.